Obviously, as part of this exercise, we've spent a lot of time looking at best-in-class solutions across various sports internationally, and I think in the football world in particular, I think a couple of German clubs are offering platforms that do some things in an intelligent way. For example, both Dortmund and Bayern Munich have digital platforms that target content of fans depending on where they are in a match week cycle. And we need to understand that the type of content that fans consume on match day is different from what they want to consume on match day. And I think we also need to make a demarcation between the fans that are actually in the stadium and those that tend not to attend. And we spoke about segmenting out commercial offerings earlier on. We also need to segment out the content offerings based upon those different fan profiles. So, for example, a number of the German clubs on match day will have a dedicated match centre, and that match centre will deliver score updates across all of the German leagues, so the fan feels fully up to date with everything that's happening on match day. It will offer live changing league tables. It will offer analytics about some of the players on the field. It will have live social streams so that fans can see what other fans and other respected external commentators are saying about what's happening on the pitch. And that kind of real-time, live, up-to-the-minute experience is something that fans are desperate for on match days. Obviously, the other 6 days a week, things can be more sedate. It's, as we talked about earlier on, it's things like the behind-the-scenes content, the fly-on-the-wall content, managers' interviews, players' interviews, incidents from the training ground, that brings a fan closer to the club, not only for the 90 minutes of the game itself, but as part of their lifestyle. And as I say, some of the German clubs do that quite well. Some American sports franchises do that particularly well. It's not something we've seen a lot of in English football yet, and I think that's a real opportunity.
I think it is, and it's interesting that when we look at further afield overseas, how they are doing it extremely well. And there are some great examples that you've already suggested, but how important is that to a club where you've got a fan? If we think about how mobile can now interact with the fan specifically, you know, if you've got an app out there, you've got a fan en route to the game, during the game, the commercial opportunities that presents a football club, because that fan is getting a match day experience, they're getting information en route to the game. When they're in ground, obviously they're not really going to be looking at the phone whilst they're watching the game, because they're watching the game, the scores on the board. But in terms of half time, the opportunities to engage that fan with gamification and other things, we're seeing a lot that can happen there overseas that isn't yet to be fully embraced here, and I think there's so many opportunities in that arena too. Then when we take it out of the stadium for the fan that's outside of the ground, but perhaps they are fully interested in the game, the results and everything else, the same experience can be given to them, but personalised to them for their environment, whether they're in the pub with their mates watching the game or whether they're in the armchair fan. And I think there's lots of opportunity there which isn't really being embraced fully at this stage.
Yeah.
It's there for the
I mean, we have lots of case studies that we can look at from similar markets. In the German market is a great example of culturally sport in Germany would be similar to here, in that the fan tends to arrive half an hour before and it is gone fairly quickly after. So it's a fairly tight in-stadium experience. And then we've lots of case studies from the States, which is completely different culturally, where the fan tends to be there for 4 or 5 hours. So you can do a lot more, and they are concentrating a lot more on their handsets because they've got so much time between plays and stuff. But there are still things you can learn in terms of satisfying the fan and engaging with the fan on the match experience from the States, like ticket upgrading. So coming to the stadium, we know where you're sitting, we can offer you the chance to sit in a better seat, or we can offer you the chance to come to something post-match and meet the players, or we can, 100 ways you can reward the fan just for being there.
And those innovative solutions just aren't being leveraged, are they?
No, and that's it. And the big thing for me is actually the non-attending game day fan can now be engaged to a level that previously wasn't possible. And the game day fans who attend are always going to be engaged because they're at the game. But previously, fans who didn't attend the game were either listening to the radio, the game was on TV, watching TV, they're quite engaged. But those fans who may be doing something else and were just checking the score periodically and not engaged, but now we can engage them and follow them through the full strategy. We can do whatever we want.
One of the things we're looking at in terms of the match centre, if you like, on game day for the fan who's at home, or the fan who's in North America, or the fan who's in China, or the fan who's in India, is to offer all of that information that Carl alluded to earlier in terms of Opta stats and social feeds, etc., but pre-match, half-time, post-match, where you plug in your own TV.
Yeah.
So it becomes Liverpool television or Coventry television or whatever. So you hold on to the fan at home that much longer instead of then go back to the Sky studio or the BBC studio. And all of that is inventory you can sell on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And by doing that, you're creating a real valid entertainment piece, second screening entertainment piece for the fan. And we do know the second screening is becoming increasingly prevalent. We know that up to 70% of fans will spend up to a third of their in-match experience when watching live TV on a second screen. And currently, they're on Twitter or they're watching the BBC Live Text, or they're on the Sky Sports panel or whatever that might be, in order to get all of the other information pieces that happen around the live action. There's no reason why the club can't own that audience for that period of time, simply by tweaking their content delivery solutions slightly, so that expert opinion, social feed, live stats, all of those things exist on the club platform. Why doesn't the club have ambition to own those fans for that very heightened experience time, rather than let them go to Twitter or to Facebook or to Sky Sports or to BBC, where the club should own those fans.
And it all comes back to what was said at the very beginning of this. It's about entertainment, that's about supplying rich content that the fan wants, so you have to fulfill the need.